Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on the Jerry and Jerry Show. It's a pleasure to connect with you guys in downtown Charlottesville, in our studio in the Macklin Building, and the heart of Central Virginia, a dynamic and sophisticated and market that is just absolutely crazy and rabid about golf. And today's show has that theme with Rob McNamara in the house of Keswick. Rob is if you live in Central Virginia for an extended period of time and you play golf, Rob's a household name. He's a guy that you like to be around. He's a guy you like to hang out with on the practice green or the driving range, or maybe belly up to a bar with and shoot the you-know-what. Rob McNamara, it's absolutely our pleasure to have him on the Jerry and Jerry Show. Judah Wickhauer's behind the camera. If you can go to a 3-shot, and I'll pass the pitch and wedge over to Hootie Ratcliffe here as he's welcomed yet another stellar guest to the Jerry and Jerry Show.
Yeah, I was excited that Rob accepted our invitation to come. Incredible man in the golf world. Everybody knows him that's picked up a club, and we're going to talk about some of his early exploits today. But he grew up in Kentucky and went to LSU and was All-American there, and has been in professional golf. Great teacher at Farmington, and now at Keswick, out at Keswick Club, where he heads up to golf, and just a fantastic guy and a fun guy to be around. And we'll bring him on here.
Rob, my friend, the U.S. Open around the corner, and we have to celebrate UVA golf as well. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, introduce yourself to the viewers and listeners.
Yes, thank you so much, Jerry. My name is Rob McNamara. I'm from Keswick, Virginia. I'm proud to live in Keswick now, and I am the club manager and director of golf at Keswick Club at Keswick Hall. So delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's absolutely our pleasure. How long have you been playing golf?
Oh,
goodness gracious.
My grandfather was a pro and got me started. I have pictures of me when I was chipping over his walkway into a bird bath. He would tee up balls. I was about 5 years old. So I've had a club in my hand for a long time, giving it a whirl.
I love it. And these two have known each other, Hootie, 30 years?
Easily, yeah.
Look, I moved here in February of '94, and I don't know, I think right from the beginning, I may have conjured up a story somehow. I remember taking a journalism class in high school, so I always try to help whoever's doing the story write the story. I want to give them something interesting to write about, so we'll come up with something here to have a theme to this conversation this morning.
And he always had. And when I started thinking U.S. Open, and I've covered about 12 U.S. Opens in my career, and one of my favorite ones was at Oakmont, and where it is this week, up there now. And Rob has a distinct history with the U.S. Open, and we'll get him to tell us some great stories. But at the time, what year was that, Rob?
So that was in 1983. I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school. And I remember when I was 16 years old at my little public course, I played at the public course during the week in a country club in Frankfurt across town, so I could walk with kings and keep a common touch. That was my mantra in life. And I remember the guy telling me, he says, I just got back from the qualifier, missed it by a shot. I said, qualifier for what? He goes, well, the U.S. Open. I said, you can qualify for the U.S. Open? He goes, yeah. So literally, I'm not exaggerating, every single night for a year I visualized qualifying for the U.S. Open. It's the craziest. I didn't know what manifestation was. I wouldn't have known anything about that. I had been hypnotized before, and I kind of visualized doing this. And sure enough, I go through the qualifier. I go through the 2 stages just like they have now. And I beat Bob Lohr, who was a PGA Tour player, in a playoff to get the final spot to get in. I was literally 156. Well, I looked at my number. I brought my little scrapbook to show you guys to prove it, because a lot of people don't believe it as bad as I play now. They're thinking there's no way I give hope to all. If this guy can play in the U.S. Open, anybody can. Anyway, it was a great experience and got a chance to do that.
Olivia Branch saying hi to Rob. We got a lot of Keswick watching the program right now.
Olivia is the person that keeps me straight. I love Olivia Branch more than you know. She takes care of the pro from Kokomo, which is always great.
We love Olivia as well, don't we, Hootie?
Yeah, she watches the show all the time. What Rob didn't say, he was 17 years old at the time, and at that time, he was the second youngest player in U.S. history to qualify for the U.S. Open. The youngest was Jack Nicklaus. So that's some pretty high cotton we're talking about there.
That is true. It was a pretty cool experience. ESPN had just started getting off the ground. As a lot of people that are younger that may not appreciate this, cable networks really just started in 1979. So we're 4 years into ESPN being a network, and they had just started doing 4-day coverage of the U.S. Open. And Jim McKay had me on an interview. So I did 3 interviews with ESPN and the Jim McKay interview, which was kind of cool to be part of that. But the neatest thing, like a lot of my life, I ran my race too soon, and I played great practice rounds. And when by the time the kickoff came, I hear about these pros now, they play 9 holes in their practice rounds. Shoot, one day I played 36 holes of practice rounds. I mean, you talk about being stupid. But one of them was with Arnold Palmer, one of them was with Gary Player, 2 of them were with Johnny Miller. So I had some cool things happen with that.
You have Dave Varell watching the program in the Outer Banks. He likes to shoot it in the red and keep it in the short grass at Keswick. He's watching the program.
Dave is taking care of golfers as we speak right now. We have the hospitality wagon going full force.
Okay, he's not at his beach house.
Yeah, he's actually working.
Now.
He's working.
Okay, Dave, you're supposed to be working right now. I thought you were on your boat in the Outer Banks right now, my friend. I love Dave Varell.
Oh, he's one of the best. He used to have the Dippin' Dots franchise here. Yeah,
I've done some work with Dave.
Dave is so nice to everyone, and we have such a good crew at Keswick. There's so many people there that are just so kind and hospitable. So I love being part of that team and across the board, from the hotel to the club, Marigold, the spa. Just come out there if you want to have a great time.
He's got some folks at Farmington watching that are asking him a question right now.
Well, I love the Farmington people too.
Dave, you love everybody. Right?
I do, but I really do love Farmington. I really do. That's all true.
Dave Varell says McNamara's got some really good stories. The Farmington guys are saying, what's Rob's favorite major and why?
Well, it always has been the U.S. Open because I suppose having played there, I'll tell you an interesting story about the U.S. Open that I think people would appreciate how cool this is. I mean, in hindsight, I can't believe I did it. But so I got there on Sunday afternoon, and Gary Player's out on the putting green. And I go to Gary, and I said, hey, I'm Rob McNamara. I'd like to, anyway, we could play a practice round together. I mean, there was a little bit more foreplay than that, but I mean, we got to the chase pretty quickly, and he said, sure. So 7:30 tomorrow, we'll play in the morning. So we get out there at 7:30, and we play a round of golf, and he's showing me all sorts of crazy stuff. I will tell you, my first sort of true eye-opening experience to Oakmont was on the second hole. He goes, come here, Robert, I want to show you something. So he goes to the back of the green. He takes a golf ball and drops it from about head high, literally just drops it, no force on it at all. The ball just lands, starts moving, rolls 30 yards off the green down to the front of the in the fairway. I'm thinking, holy smokes, Toto, we are not in Kansas anymore. I mean, it was something else. So when we finished the round, he goes, Robert, would you care to have lunch with me and Commissioner Beeman? I said, sure, I'd love that. That would be great. So Dean Beeman, who is the commissioner of the PGA Tour, and Gary Player and I, we walked up to the top floor. There's sort of another floor up in the locker room, and we were at a table that was just like a little baby cocktail table, and we had lunch. And I don't remember saying much. I do remember mostly listening, which is probably very hard for me to do, but I'm working on that. But Gary Player said, these young lads need a place to mature on the vine. He goes, my son Wayne and these young fellow pros of his, they don't have a place to develop their game. They need a developmental tour. 6 years later, the Hogan Tour started, which is now called the Korn Ferry Tour. And that's where it all began. Dean Beeman hearing Gary Player talk about this right there with me in the room. It's like a Forrest Gump moment. So kind of cool.
That's incredible.
That was pretty cool.
Gary Player, by the way, is one of my favorite interviews of all time. I've interviewed him several times. One of the cool, just hooking you up with today at Oakmont, Mason Howell, a 17-year-old from Georgia, I believe. Yeah, around the Atlanta area, qualified. The youngest qualifier since Cole Hammer in 2015 at the age of 15. And Howell shot consecutive rounds of 63, 18 under par in the qualifying at the Piedmont Driving Club in Atlanta to qualify. And what do you think his emotions are right now as he's doing some practice rounds up at Oakmont like you did?
That kid's got talent.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, I might have been pretty good, but anybody good enough to shoot 63, 63, I don't care what modern equipment you have. That's I couldn't spell 63 at age 17. So that young man must have some game. But, you know, if I had a chance to speak to him, I would tell him, I say, you know what, enjoy the ride. I'm 59 years old. I turned 60 in September. And people still to this day will bring up this U.S. Open story, and my life has turned out pretty daggone good. And, you know, I may not have made it on the tour, and I probably was just good enough to get your hopes up when it was all said and done with my golf game. But, you know, if you do the right thing in life will treat you pretty good for the most part. And I've been blessed. So I would just go enjoy it as much as you can. And Johnny Miller told me something going down the 15th hole after watching me hit it all over the parking lot for a day and a half. He said, listen, he goes, whatever you got to hit off the tee, even if it's a 5-iron, he goes, hit it off the tee. He goes, you cannot play this golf course from the rough. So I would reiterate that statement exactly to Mason and say, whatever you got to do to keep it out of that rough, do it, because the rough is knee-high to a giraffe.
Yeah.
I mean, this rough is legitimate. I mean, we almost lost a ball on the 5th hole with spotters out there in the tournament 5 yards in front of the 5th green. I mean, I've never seen anything like this rough in my entire life. And truthfully, I didn't play that bad when you take it in context. I shot 84-77 in the tournament. Each day, the first day I had a triple and 3 doubles. So I shot 14 over with the triple and 3 doubles. So that wasn't terrible everywhere else. The next day I shot 77 with a triple and 2 doubles. So I actually played pretty good the second day. Yeah. But you just got to avoid the train wreck holes is what it boils down to. So I know a lot of people are into gambling, and maybe this is a family show, but we'll talk about the betting. There's an over and under on what you're going to shoot to win the tournament. I think 2 under is the number. I actually think it'll be under that.
I think it'll be under 2 under.
Yeah, I would. If I were a betting man, and maybe I am in my alter ego, I think I would take the under on that.
Colleen Tyler giving you some props on Twitter. Scotty Richards says, tell Rob I said hello. He's watching the program. Got folks in Georgia watching the show, North Carolina, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Kentucky, the Panhandle of Florida watching the program right now. Talk about such a wonderful game of golf. Let's put what happened to Rory McIlroy into perspective. Man wins the Masters for his career Grand Slam. And then was it just this past weekend? Does not make the cut at the Canadian Open.
It's a hard game.
It's unbelievable. I mean, that puts it in game. We got the best player in the world, wins the Masters.
9 over, missed the cut by, 11 shots? Or
yeah, it was not even close to the cut line.
Yeah.
It's a crazy game.
It's a crazy game. It's indescribable how hard golf is. And I will tell you, looking at my life and my journey, I mean, doubt is the enemy of golf. If anybody wants some advice about how to get better at golf, if you just can focus on your positive self-talk and do whatever it takes for you to feel comfortable, good, and confident, because you can have the best golf swing in the world. The minute you have any doubt and have anything go sideways on you, the show's over and the monkey died. It's over. So I don't know. I mean, listen, it's an emotional sport. You go and win the Masters, you have all this luck and all this success and all this, and then you just let your guard down for a split second, the game of golf will pop you. It'll pop you. So, been there, done that, never won the Masters, but we've all had ups and downs, and bad swings follow. I mean, positive swings are only because in your head. Once you start losing in your head and you start having doubt, the swing is gone. I'll just tell you that.
It's made Dr. Rotella a very rich man, working on people's heads.
And he is a great friend and
great
so
guy.
right, and I've been around him a lot. He is the smartest, common sense person I've ever known in my life, because the things that he says are the most, when you hear them said, sometimes you think, well, that seems easy enough, but how come no one else is thinking of him. He's way ahead of the curve. I can
Bob
assure you.
Rotella is still playing a handful of rounds a week, guys, at Glenmore, the fabulous psychologist who works with Rory. I mean, he works with Rory, Bob Rotella. He's come on the network in our shows here, Bob Rotella. Talk UVA golf, U.S. Open. How about UVA golf this past season, Hootie?
Yeah, and before we go there, he was talking about the rough at Oakmont, and the members there like the reputation that it's the toughest golf course in the world. I don't know if it is. It's that and Shinnecock are the toughest courses I've ever played, and I don't know what your toughest course.
It's a great question for Rob.
But and I know you used to love the greens at Farmington when you were in charge of the Keswick. They're running really fast, but these greens, they have to actually slow them down for the U.S. Open.
That's true. They were 15 when I got there in '83 on the stimp meter.
Yeah.
And they slowed them down to like 13. And now I think I've read yesterday where they're up to 14. Oakmont is conditionally hard.
Yes.
And all these golf courses are conditionally hard. But if it's firm and fast, it makes it play extraordinarily hard. If you look at the winning score as a judgment going all the way back to 1925, and they've had the Open, I think this is the 8th or 9th time.
Most of any course that's ever held the Open.
If it's soft, it makes it play exponentially easier.
Mm-hmm. Exponentially
easier. If it's firm and fast, 5 over could be the winning score again, which is what happened when Cabrera won. It was brutal, but we've had a lot of rain. This East Coast, we're getting a lot of rain, so everybody's getting covered up with that. My guess is it'll play a little softer, and I think that's going to slow things down, and these bombers that have it curving, it hits a couple times and still stays in the short grass.
Shinnecock, one of my favorite courses.
Hard.
Love spending time in
hard.
Southampton. Got some family up in Southampton. I believe 5 U.S. Opens at Shinnecock.
I think you're right.
Shinnecock versus Oakmont.
Shinnecock is actually harder, in my opinion.
I thought it was harder.
I played Shinnecock one time. When I was playing pretty good, actually. This was in 2005. And I remember I said, I got the member I was playing with, I said, I want to play from the U.S. Open tees. It was going to be, maybe it was 06, because the Open was going to be in 7, whatever year that was going to be.
That was 18.
No, going back further.
Okay.
Going back when
the last one was 18, then 2004 before that.
Okay, so this would have been in the fall of 03.
Okay.
So I literally played from a yard from the back of every tee box, thinking, okay. So I ended up parring the last 4 holes for 81.
Wow.
I had made 11 bogeys and 3 pars in the first 14 holes, and I finished the round. I said, well, that just saved me $250. He goes, what do you mean? I said, that's a $250 round. He goes, what do you mean? I said, it just saved me $250. He goes, for what reason? I said, because now there's no way in the world I want to play in this U.S. Open. The last thing on earth I want to do is qualify for the U.S. Open on this golf course. It was impossible.
Yeah, I agree. Jerry mentioned UVA men's golf coming off a historic year, played for the national championship. Now they've got 5 guys in the Open this week: Denny McCarthy, Ben James, Brian Lee, Austin Truslov, which I'm not really overly familiar with, and I've never known how to pronounce this guy's name, George Giamani.
We'll say that's right. We'll say
we'll-
George, Big George over there.
Big George, yeah, we'll go with Big George.
I mean, just
That's pretty impressive that UVA has become such a golf program now. I mean, I think we've gotten in the top 8 4 straight years.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Be an interesting side bet to see who the low Cavalier is. I may put my money on Ben James.
Me too.
I think that Ben James, to me, I feel like will get better as a pro. Some players, when they turn pro, get worse. I think Ben James and just the dynamic of everything there will improve once he gets on his own. He will even do better. That would be my betting man call right now. If I was an agent, I'd be trying to get Ben James on my roster.
What do you think? You follow golf. You know golf like the Pope knows holy water here. What has made UVA materialize or evolve into now? I mean, we can say golf at UVA is a national power. How have they done? I mean, the facilities are fantastic. They keep improving them. What do you attribute this success to?
Well, I mean, that's the only thing that changed, right? Everything else had been in place for a long, long time. But once you build the facilities, I mean, listen, a college golf program is successful because of the coach, the facilities, and the commitment from a budget point of view scheduling. So you're sitting there as a player thinking, okay, am I going to go to school here and play golf? Maybe a lot of good players didn't think they were good enough to get in UVA and think the academics. Maybe they've softened that too. I probably should throw that out there. I mean, I wouldn't even have dreamed of filling out a UVA application when I was a high school senior or whatever, thinking about going to college. But the big difference is when you build the Birdwood facility, it makes a huge difference. It's a hell of a spot over there. It's really nice. So I think that was the difference maker. Bowen's been there for a long time and doing a good job and deserves a lot of credit. And they've gotten clearly the support from academics that's allowing people in the school, and they play in a schedule that's exciting for a young person to want to go there. Why would you not want to come here? I mean, I think that Northwestern won the women's. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're in the north or south. They can go indoors and hit, and they've got all these cool things, and they travel. Why not? So that's kind of my belief on the program and the golf there.
What do you think, Cootie?
I totally agree with what Rob said. That's the one thing that has changed is the facilities and the support. And I know there's some other guys, some of the older players that are affiliated with UVA Golf who've tried to boost that program as well. Even though Vinnie Giles played at Georgia, he's a big supporter. Curtis Strange, who played at Wake Forest, he's a supporter. And then so many of the other guys who actually did play at Virginia back in the day, and they're so proud of
the one thing
yeah.
the one thing that all these players do for that Bowen really deserves a ton of credit on, they all putt better. They putt great, and I think that whatever Bowen's doing, his little secret sauce over there is putting, and I think that that's the area that he has consistently produced putters, and Denny McCarthy's probably as good a putter as there is on tour, and I feel like that the players that I know, Benny Hagen is a young man that I've been involved with for a long, long time, since he was about 16 years old. He was a member at Farmington, and Benny, I've watched Benny develop. I think Benny will play better when Benny gets on his own, just given the shot to play, because they're so good that sometimes guys that are as good as him may not get their fair shake, where he'd be number 1 or 2 man on most D1 teams. So it's all pretty exciting. I think what it also points to is how good golf is in Central Virginia and here in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that people ever realize how lucky we are to have this many good golf courses in such a short, tight window here. I think if you read the statistics from the National Golf Foundation, they will tell you that 50,000 people is what it takes to support a golf course. Well, I mean, I don't know what the greater Charlottesville area is.
So just under 300,000 for Central Virginia.
Well, that's probably a pretty big net, right? And that big of net, you've got a lot of golf courses.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have Farmington, you have Keswick. I mean, I think Keswick Club, Full Cry is an incredible course. Farmington is clearly an incredible course. This Birdwood course, now that it's been redone, it's a terrific golf course. We've got a great public golf course. Even the people that play golf locally, Meadow Creek is still a very good public golf course. So, you know, you can go to Spring Creek, you can go to the public course Old Trail, you can go to Wintergreen, Green Hills. There's just lots of good places to play.
Lake Monticello.
The lake is you know, there's a oar for every boat here. You know, you've got something, and the thing when you really study it, even Glenmore, I mean, everyone is successful. Everyone is successful. Nobody is failing golf-wise in this area, and that is so hard to do. And they were all surviving. I mean, maybe they weren't thriving, but everybody was surviving. Now everybody is thriving. We are certainly at Keswick thriving. We have redone 14 of the 18 holes since I've arrived. Our golf course is great. I mean, we had the same designer that worked with part of the team that worked with Birdwood, Scott Sherman, with Davis Levitt. Scott was on his own completely with us, and he was a disciple of Pete Dye. we hired him because you could tell him about any of the 82 Pete Dye courses. You could say, well, tell me about the 13th hole at Casa de Campo, and he could tell you about it. And he's like a Pete Dye historian, so we hired him, and he's just done a great job. So I just feel overall golf in this area is a big deal, and recreation. People are lucky to live in this town.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
absolutely.
we've got so many great recreation opportunities. I mean, I'm proud to live here.
Yeah, no question.
We have questions coming in quickly, and viewers and listeners, put your questions on any social media platform you're watching upon. I will relay them to Rob live on air. This is a good question from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
And CCV.
Great.
Can Rob put in perspective what the difference is in talent or margin from a top 5 player, a top 10 player, and a top 25 player on the tour?
Boy, it's getting tighter and tighter all the time. It used to be a little bit more defined. It's becoming more blurred, is what I would say. The athletes today, let's just if you go back and just look at these scores of what people are shooting, right? The equipment has evolved, the athlete has evolved, and what is being taught has evolved. And the athletes today are just bigger, better, faster, stronger. The real benefit, in my opinion, of the Tiger Woods effect is not so much what he sold in merchandising, but Tiger Woods made golf cool. And the guy that would have been sitting on the bench in a basketball game that's 6'4" and a little slow is a stud athlete in golf. He might have played baseball, might have been a pitcher. I mean, you know, all of a sudden he's a beast. He's 6'3", 6'4", strong, stretch, get flexible. They learn to grip the club correctly. Once you learn to grip a club correctly, your chances of playing good golf go up about 1,000-fold versus trying to have a Harley Davidson grip and try to play this game. I mean, and so they learn to put their hands on the golf club right, and next thing you know, they're scratch golfers. And these good athletes are getting to be scratch in 15 months or less from starting golf. Once a kid goes through puberty, you can find out how good someone's going to be. If you don't get to be scratch in a year and a half, you're probably not going to get to be scratch ever. That's just the way it is.
Comments. This is a good one. Local. Does Rob, and this is a good one for Hootie too, best golfer to come out of Charlottesville or Central Virginia, fellas?
Wow.
Well, Will Strickler got his tour card. I mean, you have to give Will a lot of credit. Will played at the University of Florida on scholarship. He was started taking lessons from me when he was 7 years old, and his parents came to me when he was 14, and Will said he wanted to quit tennis and become a full-time golfer. He got his tour card his first try. I mean, that's not bad.
He might be the only guy from here that's
ever did that.
From here that's played on the tour.
That's not the only measure of how great a player is by any means, but
Mikey Moyers
at a green. Yep.
David Bell back in his time. David Passerell, Phil Mahone.
Phil Mahone is amazing. Phil Mahone deserves a lot of credit. Phil's one of those guys that he played tennis in college and later started playing golf and just kept grinding. I mean, he's so committed. He has so much drive. I mean, I am very impressed and proud of Philip to have watched him develop over the years and become a very good player. He won the state senior amateur. Mm-hmm. He's another terrific deal. But we're talking about apples and oranges for somebody like Will that got his tour card. I mean, Will made 6 cuts in 1 year on tour, and then he played another couple of years on the Korn Ferry Tour or whatever it was called then. And so
some other good ones, Dustin Grove, who's now an assistant
coach.
There you go.
Tim Pemberton, who's coach at William & Mary. I guess he's still the coach there.
Dustin Groves, I believe, a Monticello High School product. I believe played for, when I was working for you, I think Coach Pam Bradley was the golf coach at Monticello High School. Now an assistant under Bowen at UVA. He's a fantastic golfer. We just have an embarrassment of riches in Charlottesville and Central Virginia with golf.
It's such a nice place that we all just are fortunate to live here. I'm delighted to live here. I was going to show you.
Please.
Something. If somebody doesn't believe, they might see me hit it and say, "There's no way this guy played in the U.S. Open."
This is maybe one of the best scrapbooks, by the way.
I know.
I've ever
Who
seen.
did that for you?
Your mom do
my
that?
sister did this.
Your
My sister has a little
okay.
side hustle. I don't know if you can.
Judah, give us some instruction.
Up a little higher.
Yeah, there we go. Very nice. There we go.
And then I'll show you just a cool photo. to prove that was me graduating my high school date. This was in the
You
way
get your
back.
prom picture in there too, Rob?
I did actually I actually went to prom. Can you believe that? Listen, 156, that's me. That's my number. It was sad. But here I am with Gary Player. That's kind of cool if you can show that.
Oh, that is awesome.
That's great.
That is so cool.
That's just incredible.
Anyway.
How about favorite player for Rob, past and present?
Well, David Toms was my favorite tour player because he was my roommate in college, and now he's still doing terrific. I marvel at how good David has done with his career. I mean, a guy that probably doesn't, I bet in his peak, I bet David's clubhead speed never exceeded 107 or 8 miles an hour. He's probably 100 miles an hour right now and can still, I think he won on Champions Tour last year. The guy can still golf his ball. If they were playing with wood, balata balls, and steel shafts, he would still be playing the regular tour, because a lot of guys that you think are great now, you give them that equipment and you wouldn't know their name. But anyway, that's just my theory on, I don't care how big and strong you are. So the equipment, and with some of their crazy golf swings, even though they work with metal, they don't work with a balata ball and a steel shaft and wood. But anyway, that's another story for another day. My favorite player in yesteryear started out being Johnny Miller. I love Johnny Miller, played 2 practice rounds with him at that U.S. Open. Then it went to Tom Watson. Then I tried to focus on myself. Then it became David Toms. And I never got on the Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson bandwagon on either one. So I'm going to go with Justin Thomas as my favorite player.
He's a great player.
Before we go too deep, I want him to tell that Arnold Palmer story. He played a practice round with Arnold at the King there at Oakmont.
Well, so day 2, I played my first day with Gary Player. Day 2, when I was totally had run my race, right? Mr. Palmer's coming up the 9th hole. The practice green and the 9th green at Oakmont are this giant green. It's probably about 80 yards from front to back. And here he comes with Johnny Miller and Peter Jacobsen in a 3-ball. So I'm not afraid of much on that category, so I go down there and going to go sell myself again. I introduce myself, waited till they putted out at least, right? Mr. Palmer, my name's Rob McNamara. Could I play the back 9 with you all? What's he going to say? People are 10 deep on everywhere you can look. The place is packed with people. Sure, come on. So I had to weasel my way through the crowd. I literally had to get on all fours and crawl underneath the ropes to get through there. My caddy had worked his way through there, get up on the tee, and literally you look down the 10th hole, and people, I'm not exaggerating, are 10 deep for as far as you could see. And my heart is pounding out of my chest, and you could just feel all the eyes on you. So I rear back, hit this driver, and I hit this thing dead solid right in the center. This ball takes off. It's going right down the middle of the fairway, and about 125 yards out, decides to make a hard left-hand turn right towards the crowd, and everybody on cue does. That's my Arnold Palmer story.
Man.
Oh, that is so
I didn't kill anybody, thank goodness. We have no...
I can imagine your heart pounding like that. The closest thing I even have to that is I got to play with Curtis Strange over at Wintergreen during a state Virginia's for Lovers tourism promotion, and we had caddies and all that, and walking down the fairway, they weren't 10 deep, but we did have a gallery, and I was that's the most nervous in sports I've ever been in my life. And he finally just said, calm down, you're just like playing with the guys back on the, wherever you play. And just, he was telling jokes and stuff, trying to lighten the mood for me and the other guys, because he knew we were all petrified. But that's I can imagine what that was like.
I played in another U.S. Open in 1990. I was actually caddying on tour for a stint in my life. I was debating, am I going to go be a stockbroker? I'd be really bad at that. Or what was I going to do with my life? So I'm caddying for about 6 months on the tour, and I qualified for 3 tour events plus the U.S. Open. And after I qualified for the U.S. Open, I figured I'll go back and try golf again. But I'm at Medina, and in the first round, I'm 1 under par. I'm actually sort of on the leaderboard. It was a morning, we played that morning, and you get to the 12th hole and the 15th hole at Medina, and you share the same tee box. So I walk up to 15, I'm 1 under through 14 holes, and who's on the tee at 12? Jack Nicklaus. And sort of the deal is whoever first can play goes first. So, I mean, I'm closer, I'm about as far away as maybe me to you.
Okay.
And there's the bear himself, and you could feel his blue eyes staring at me. I mean, the same feeling. So I kind of put in the old memory box, well, you still got this because you've done this before. And, of course, I hit this one down the middle of the fairway, and I came up out of there with like a whew, and he looked at me and gave me the Jack Nicklaus wink, and I thought, yes.
How about, you've alluded to this briefly, the equipment and the advancement in technology and where it's taken golf. Pros and cons of that.
Oh, well, I hate it. I hate it in every category. It's like love the one you're with. If you didn't know that it existed, you wouldn't know that you missed it. And now what's happened is, I mean, if we had always had balata balls and steel shafts and wood heads, you would never know that there was something better, right? And I mean, people are sitting at home, and it's a different school of thought. I get it that, well, I wouldn't be playing golf. Yeah, you would. You'd still play. Just the golf courses wouldn't be 7,400 yards long. Back in the day, golf courses were really long if they were 7,000 yards. It was brutal. The Augusta National was 6,800 yards long, and that was totally fine for a while. Well, now we've made it where we've just gone the other way. We're going to have to make 8,000-yard golf courses to make it where you make a pro have a driver and a 5-iron, or driver and a 4-iron, or driver and a 2-iron in their hand to hit a long par 4. They can't make them long enough. And so that's the problem. The other thing that happens, two other major things that have happened as a result of the golf ball. Number one, it doesn't curve offline. It's very hard to curve a ball offline. So if these guys, they're hitting these, and they give you one of these, like I've hit it in the next county, think about how bad that would be with a balata ball that's really spinning. A balata ball would spin at about 4,000 RPMs. The modern golf ball spins at about 2,000 RPMs. So the spin is saving you or hurting you, depends on how you want to look at it. The other thing is that around the green, because the ball doesn't spin as much, makes chipping and pitching so much harder today than it used to be. So they've had all these sort of new ways you've had to learn how to chip a ball with a ball that doesn't spin. And the greens, simultaneous to this, are firmer and faster. So you kind of got a lot of things going that if a person was really good in 1980 and they woke up in a time warp and they came to the golf course and they brought them a set of clubs, modern golf clubs with modern golf ball on a modern golf course, what is that, 45, 50 years later? Oh, they'd be like, holy cow, I was great then and I'm not very good now. What happened? You have to play the game differently. And whether or not a person's golf game evolved. And that's one thing it took me a long time to learn as a player and as an instructor. I mean, the game evolved because the golf ball was in such flux, and it took about 20 years to get it to where it is today. Mm-hmm. It just they just inchwormed their way, and the ball manufacturers were in cahoots with the club manufacturers because they would jimmy rig the ball. All of a sudden now you had to get the golf club to match the ball. They do that for 4 or 5 years, and the next thing you know, they've jimmy-rigged the ball again. Now that guy's club doesn't go as far because it doesn't match up to the golf ball. They've got to be partners in this.
When does it stop? How does it stop? What's the tour do?
Well, I mean, I don't know what everybody's agenda is. You obviously want more people playing golf, and that is a great thing for all of us as golf operators and owners of courses and et cetera, but it also is making the game very uninteresting to only watch guys hit driver sand wedges. Right. When the 10th hole, I heard Xander Schauffele say yesterday that he's going to hit, if it's firm, that he'll hit a 3-wood and a gap wedge to the 10th hole at Oakmont. There's just no way that that's humanly possible. Yeah. It's like, are you kidding me?
It's mind-boggling.
And I was in good shape. I mean, so this is not like, well, he's a better athlete. Listen, when I was young, I was in good shape. I'm not like I am now. I was fit, and the equipment has just made people longer.
Hootie Ratcliffe, comments continue to come in here. We got baseball you wanted to talk to certainly about here, but should we get some picks of who's going to win the Open?
Oh, wow. We could. I'll allow you to go first.
I'm going to make a dual entry. Heart and head. Dual entry says heart is Justin Thomas, head Sepp Straka.
Wow. You're a huge fan of Justin Thomas over there.
Yes, I am.
And you're right. The over/under is at two under. The betting line for what the winning score is going to be. Scotty is a clear-cut favorite to win this.
Yeah.
I mean, who's touching Scotty? I'm not going to pick Scotty because that makes me a front runner. Bryson, the second favorite. Rory, the third favorite. John Rahm in the fourth slot. Xander is so talented. I'm going to go Tommy Fleetwood on this one. Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood.
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Scotty. He's won 3 out of the last 4 tournaments.
You got to give us some weight if you're going Scotty over there.
I try to give your betting audience a chance to make. I think it's like 40-1 at least. Trying to make them a little. We're not picking favorites when we go to the track. I mean, come on. I'm a Kentucky. When we bet horses, we betting on the long shot.
I also like Cameron Young. There's another guy right there that's a little.
That's not a bad pick.
Cameron Young's
qualifier,
right?
In a tight window.
Right. And he's playing good golf right now.
I'll be rooting for Rory though. I'd like to see Rory do it. I've always liked him. I covered him in 11 when he won so easily at Congressional, and I had to actually fly out and cover to Virginia in the College World Series in Omaha, so I only got to cover the first 2 rounds, but he already won the tournament in the first 2 days.
Wow.
But I've liked it. He made a strong impression on me then, and I've liked him ever since.
It's going to be a good one. Rob, we got to welcome Rob back.
Oh, absolutely.
You're the best.
He's got more
you make this so
stories
easy.
than,
Thank you for having me. I hope that everyone benefited in some way. If we gave you a winning pick, if you take Sepp Straka or Justin Thomas, I mean, just
give him a kickback.
Send me a little love at 701 Club Drive at Keswick. Thank you so much, everybody, and I wish everybody great success and proud of you guys for what y'all have accomplished here in Charlottesville, and I'm coming back to work, guys, so I'll be there in 30 minutes. Y'all straighten up.
Dave Farrell, come on. He's still watching Dave Farrell.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you. Jude, if you want to go to the studio camera, that was just an absolute awesome interview. Thank you, Rob. That was an awesome interview, Hootie.
Yeah, Rob's always been an awesome interview. It's been fun. I've had a lot of guys that cover local and state golf that are used to be when people used to actually cover golf. They don't do that anymore, but except on the national level. But they were always envious of me because I had, like I said, the quote machine.
Yeah, so good.
He was always giving great quotes out at the State Open, and which he won, by the way.
Of course.
And what year was that, Rob?
1995.
95. And so
It's good to see you, Rob.
Thank you so much. I'll see you later.
You're right.
Come on out to the club.
You're right.
They were always envious of me getting great quotes from Rob because some of the guys were so uptight. They didn't. They would freeze up a little bit when you asked them about their rounds, but not Rob. He was loose as a goose.
What a good evangelist for Keswick and golf locally.
Absolutely, and for the state of Virginia.
Yeah, absolutely. We got baseball to talk about.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. The news cycle that is Virginia athletics continues to gain momentum, and this is normally a slow period. We got the baseball team, all the talent in the transfer portal. We got a short list for Virginia baseball that got a little shorter with the Wake Forest coach getting caught on national TV saying something that he shouldn't have. Got Brian O'Connor being initiated and announced to the Mississippi State faithful.
What an incredible crowd he drew out there.
I mean, that's a microcosm of what's to come. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
We got paid. We know what Coach O'Connor's going to make.
Second highest paid coach in America in college baseball.
Second highest paid coach. Mississippi State makes that salary and compensation and the contract readily available. Don't need a FOIA yet.
Most schools don't.
Right. Where do you want to begin with baseball, Hootie?
I think the fact, and again, Tom Walter, the Wake Forest coach, like you said, was caught making a homophobic slur during their game with Tennessee. I imagine that probably cost him dearly. Who knows these days? But I think that probably puts the focus on Chris Pollard at Duke now as probably somebody that Virginia has its eyes set on if they didn't already. They lost last night to Murray State, one step away from Omaha. But I got to know Chris back when he brought his Appalachian State team up and played Virginia in the regionals a few years ago. And he told me then that having grown up in Amherst County, he grew up a Virginia baseball fan and tried to pattern things, how he would build his program the way Brian O'Connor did at Virginia. So certainly he would be somebody to look at. He's been at Duke since 2013, been coaching in college since 2001 everywhere he's been, and he's developed 46 Major League Baseball draft picks during his career. So that really good guy. I've gotten to know him a little bit over the years, and certainly he'd be a terrific replacement for Brian O'Connor.
Virginia baseball is, I mean, frankly, looking to right the ship right now. I mean, you got how many players in the portal now?
I think it's 27. It's the most of any school in
the whole roster,
in
basically.
Baseball, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of those guys have followed O'Connor to Mississippi State. Tomas Valencius, Chone Jones, James Nunley, Aiden Teal are the four at the moment. There's probably a couple more guys that's going to go there. But it's going to be a challenge for whoever takes over the program. They're going to have to probably rebuild the entire roster, or at least most of it.
After we did the show last week, I asked you the question of put the year in perspective, and you've been covering Virginia athletics for how long?
Since 82.
Since 1982. So we're talking darn near, 43 years? You've been covering UVA athletics. And you said you've never remembered a year like this from a tumultuous standpoint. And then after that, I try to put a timeline of events, just facts that we published on the I Love CVille Network, and that went viral. And after I was just putting those facts down on my keyboard here and on the computer screen, I was like, goodness gracious, this has been a wild ride for Wahoo fans over the last 12 months. This hire, you are the pro here, you're the Hall of Famer. Put the importance of the baseball hire into perspective as we transition into football season and a need to fill Scott Stadium, where UVA was in the bottom 3 or 4 spots of the Atlantic Coast Conference in average attendance.
Well, it's certainly one of the sports at Virginia that gets a lot of attention, even though Disharoon Park only seats about 6,000. There's still lots of other people that follow the program. They may not always be at the games, but it's an important hire because the community, I think, is tied to the baseball program in a lot of ways. And it's been one of the premier programs in the country. What Brian O'Connor built here was magnificent. Not many people can say they went to the College World Series 3 out of the last 4 years prior to this season. So what he's done is remarkable. And you certainly don't want to see the program fade back into mediocrity. So I think it's important to get the right guy in here, somebody who can develop players and who can recruit and keep the close ties to the community that O'Connor built by going to pancake breakfasts and various social clubs and civic clubs in the city and county.
You're absolutely right. We will follow it closely as Carla Williams has got a really important hire on her hands here, folks, especially heading into a football season where Virginia has purchased a lot of talent for that football roster, and where Virginia is trying to shed a label of having the worst record of any power football team over the last 3 years. Hootie, the Sam Brunell news to Tim Taylor and the Naval Academy as an assistant coach with the women's basketball team, I found that very, very exciting, very positive.
Happy for Sam.
Same.
Obviously, there are close ties between those two, and Tim coaching up there at Greene County for a while, and has done a really good job with Navy women's program. I'm sure she'll be a boost to that program, and very happy for her. A couple of other developments in the community over the weekend. The Frank Quayle family making a $5 million planned gift to Virginia Athletics. And I've known Frank for a long time, played golf with him in a Hall of Fame event several years ago, and always been a great guy when he was not only as a player, but when he used to broadcast with Warren Swain doing the Virginia football broadcast.
That was a great team.
They were a great team together, and Frank's just a good guy. Always been a pillar of the community and done what he could to help all facets of the Charlottesville community, even coaching Little League football with the talent and knowledge that he shared with kids. Happy for him. He was tight with Doc McHugh, so they're going to put his name on the entranceway to the Olympic Sports Complex that they're finishing up over there, which is attached to the back of the McHugh Center, which it's going to elongate that building almost down to 29, but to Emmett Street. But it's just happy for him and his family. They're good people.
What are you following here as we're halfway through June?
Well, we're still keeping our eye on the baseball coaching search, and there'll be news coming in, I guess, all summer on the transfer portal incoming. It'll be interesting to see who the new coach is and what kind of staff he puts together and what kind of players he can attract to the program. And we'll be keeping our eye on golf in various aspects, including the U.S. Open this week. Some other great golf stories. Bill Battle, we all knew, terrific guy in the community as well. Helped bring Birdwood along and was former president of the USGA. And we got to know him over the years and named the local competition that Rob mentioned when he was on air between local golfers. We named that the Battle Trophy, and Bill was so gracious to allow us to put his name on that, and he would often show up and make the presentation to the champion of the trophy. And he has just been elected to the Virginia State Golf Hall of Fame, which was a great honor for him and his family.
Yeah. Jerry Ratcliffe, guys, set up the interview with Rob McNamara today on the Jerry and Jerry show. He's an absolute pleasure to conversate and chat with, and same with Hootie Ratcliffe. And I would encourage the viewers and listeners to watch JerryRatcliffe.com and this to read JerryRatcliffe.com as we follow this coaching search move forward. Will Duke Pollard be named the next head coach of Virginia baseball? Only time will tell. The skipper over at Connecticut with the Huskies on a potential short list as well. We'll follow it closely at JerryRatcliffe.com. Appreciate you setting up the interview with Rob. It was a lot of fun.
So it was great that he was able to take some time out from his schedule out at Keswick to join us, and he's always a fun guy to be around. I've never had a dull moment around Rob McNamara.
Same. Judah Woodcower behind the camera. Appreciate Judah. Getting everything set up for the third guest. And thank you, viewers and listeners, for watching the show. We're back Tuesdays at 10:15 a.m. And, of course, the I Love CVille show is up at 12:30. So long, everybody. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Rob is